Hi there everyone, here is day 5 and welcome. In the previous video, we have built the React frontend and a Node.js backend and we both connected it locally. Now it's time to deploy everything properly on AWS. In this video, we'll deploy frontend and backend on AWS EC2 and configure Nginx proxy properly, and we'll also connect custom domains. We'll enable HTTPS on our website using Let's Encrypt and make this setup more production ready. So let me explain you how everything is going to work. So here I am opening my Excalibur. We'll deploy one AWS EC2 instance. So we'll install all the dependencies and we'll clone the git our code repository, and we'll install the dependencies into AWS EC2 instance, and we'll map the DNS names to this EC2 instance public IP for frontend and backend. Both are mapped with this AWS EC2 instance public IP, and we'll install Nginx in this EC2 instance. Nginx basically handle all the routing and reverse proxy of our application. So you might be thinking why we have a separate frontend and backend for the domain, like we have a different DNS name for frontend and backend. So the answer is this is common in real productions. It benefits in cleaner architecture, easier scaling, and easy API management and better security and routing for our application. Something like api.example.com is going to the backend, and chat.example.com going to the front end, and example.com will go to the landing page. So let me explain you how user interaction will work. So there will be a user who will visit our website in a browser, and this browser is sending a request to the DNS. So for the DNS we are using Cloudflare. So HTTPS and the domain name. So DNS will resolve the IP, resolve the name to the IP, and here we have AWS EC2 instance with public IP. So DNS will resolve public IP of the EC2 instance. Now this EC2 instance have Nginx installed in this server. This Nginx will handle all the routing logics and reverse proxy. So if a user request our front end, the DNS will resolve to the EC2 IP, and now Nginx will handle where to forward this user, basically on front end or back end. So if user is using a front end domain name, so Nginx will forward to the front end, and if it is a backend, then it forward to the backend. So when a user visit a front end, via Nginx, then he will chat with our AI model, and front end then send a post request to the backend. So front end will send request to the Nginx, and Nginx will forward that request to the backend application. So this will be the architecture, how everything connects each other. So now let's move to the AWS console and deploy our EC2 instance. So here we have logged into AWS, and let's switch the region to Mumbai and search for AWS EC2 instance. Now go to instances and click on launch instance. Just name the EC2 instance. We'll name it KuickBite. click on Ubuntu and select an operating system you want to use. Well, I'm using 24. And let's select instance type. So I'm going to use T2 is small. This will be fine for us. And let's select a key pair. For this, let's create a new key pair. It will download a PEM file. So save it. Now select a key pair you have created and allow HTTP and HTTPS so that we can serve our front end application to publicly. You can make SSH private. So let's use 10 GB of storage and everything will be default. Just click on launch instance. When instance initiated for launch, just click on it. Just wait for a few seconds. It will be in running state. Then click on connect. So we are going to use our browser to connect to the EC2 instance. You can also use putty or terminus or a basic terminal using SSH keys. Just click on connect. So we are logged into instance. So first of all, get the root access. Let me zoom it a little bit. Now first and foremost, update the server. So now the server is updated. The second thing you have to do is you have to install Nginx on this EC2 instance. So as you can, the Nginx is installed. Get the public IP of the EC2 instance, copy it and open it into the new browser. So you have to see something like the default page of Nginx. So this is working. We have to host our website instead of Nginx page. So now let's set up our application into this EC2 instance. So first we have to install all the dependencies like Node.js, npm, nvm to run our application. So to install all the dependencies, you can use Google or ChatGPT. Also, you can use my documentation website where I have written all the documents to set up a server. Like if you go to the base server setup, here you can get all the commands to set up a server. So like apt update, upgrade. So we have to find something related to our infrastructure. So we have to install the Node.js. First install Node.js. Now it's done. Install npm. Wait for a few minutes because this is going to take a little bit of time. It's 98% completed. So now it's done. Now you have to install the nvm. So you have to install the nvm. NVM is basically to switch node version or install any new node versions into the server. So this is not going to take time. This is done. You have to source. Then you have to using this NVM you can install any desired version of node. So if I type node -v, this is 22 version, or you can install nvm install 22 as well. That will be same. So you have, when you install any new version, you have to use that version, and if you want to set any version default, so you have to run this command. So here I have written 18, so the default version will be 18. Next, you don't need yarn as of now, but we need pm2. Okay, So our Nginx will work as a reverse proxy, front-end web server, and SSL termination layer. PM2 helps Node.js application running in the background. So this will very important for us. So because using this we can run our backend in the background as a process. So let's visit my GitHub repository. We have to clone our code repositories. This one. Just click on clone URL. You can close this, we don't need this. So to clone the repository we have to go to the specific file, which is www.html. This is the default Nginx code directory where it serves the application code. Here you can see Nginx debian.html, which is we are seeing the Nginx default page which is serving from this directory. So just click on git clone. So our project is clone. Go to the project directory. So we have all the files. Let's set up all the things step by step. So first we have 3 folders. We have a landing page, front end, and backend. If I go to landing page, we have an index.html file where we serve our HTML static page, and we have a front end. So let's go to the front end. So first we have to run all the dependencies. npmi will install all the dependencies of the React application. So it's done now. You can see node modules are there. First second command you have to run is npm run build to build the static pages. So here you don't see any dist folder, but if you type ls again you can see the dist folder. So basically what it is doing is it is creating a static HTML static website content just like our index.html. So we don't need to manually run npm run dev every time. We can serve React application statically. If I go to this dist directory, here you can see we have a index.html static file and some SVGs and some assets. So this is done. Now move to the backend folder. So backend is written in Node. So we cannot make a build of this application because this is properly backend, not a statically generated front-end application. So the process is same. You have to install all the dependencies using npm i, and if you run npm run dev here, which we have run locally, so the application will start here, but it is running inside the terminal. So if you close the terminal, the application will get stopped. So we have to run this application as a background process. That's why we have installed PM2. So but before that we have to create a .env file in the front end and back end both, because we didn't pushed any .env file in the GitHub. So that's why it is saying Gemini key is missing, because we don't have any .env file here. So first you have to create a .env file and then copy .env from your local machine here and save this file. When you run npm run dev again, now the error is gone and the application is running on localhost 5000. Okay, now what you have to do, you have to run this application on the backend. So pm2 start. So before starting you have to run a particular file in the using pm2. So in the root directory we don't have any file which we can run. So in the source folder we have index.js file which we have to run. So just go to the terminal. Let me clear it. pm2 start src index.js. So our pim2 started our process, which is in online. If you have to check the status, you can type pm2 status. If you want to see logs, pm2 logs. Here you can see all the application logs. Server is actively listening, health check, and chat endpoint. So this is the process. If you have to check the logs of a particular process, then you can type pm2 logs, and you have to type the id number like 0. Then you can only see this particular log. Now this is running. Let's back to the front end. We have to create .env file. We have to create .env file there too. So we don't have any .env file as of now. So now let's create .env file and copy it from the local machine. Copy this and paste. But you have to change our backend API URL, because in the local our backend is running on port 5000 on localhost. In the server, the backend is also running on localhost 5000, but in this server running. So, but we need our backend publicly accessible. So we are going to host it on a particular domain, just like KuickBite API .kuickbite. So I'm going to use my domain to host our backend. Instead of, I'm going to use hyphen here. So HTTPS :// API-quickbite.ahmedraza.in. So this will be our backend URL. Now run build again, because you have to build your front end static files using this environment variable. This seems done. Let me clear it. Now what you have to do is you have to map all the domains with this public IP, what we have done here. So in this you have to map the front end DNS name with this EC2 instance IP and the backend domain with this EC2 instance public IP. Then this EC2 instance will decide where to forward the particular front end and backend request. So for the DNS purpose, I am using Cloudflare. Okay, now I am logged in into Cloudflare dashboard. Now we have to add our records in this DNS service. So first of all, get the EC2 instance public IP, copy this, and you have to add a record. You have to record a record. You have to type the name like chat-quickbite.ahmedraza.in. You don't have to type full domain here. Then you have to type the IP. You can make it enable or disable. I will explain you in some other videos what it is doing. So as of now, let's make it disable. If you want to know about more, let me know in the comment. I will explain what it is doing. So save it, create another a record for API. API-quickbite, paste and save it. So here you can see we have added 2 domains mapped with the IP. The next step is let's close this. The next step is we have to create some Nginx configuration which will forward our request to the particular folder, just like this. Like if user is visiting our front end domain, then this directory will be served. If user is visiting our backend, then this directory will be served. So let's create a Nginx configuration. We can use ChatGPT for that to create a template configuration. So give me the Nginx configuration for serving static HTML files on Okay, so now you get the template file. So you have to create a first Nginx configuration. So you can copy this URL we have to create. Just copy. You can copy all of them. So you have here we are creating our Nginx configuration. The file name is frontend. Just open it and copy this whole configuration and paste this. So first, you in the server name you have to type your domain for the front end. Like we have chat-quickbite.in, and in the root directory you have to type all full path of your application where your application is present. So we have /var www html quickbite frontend and dist. So here we have all the static files. So you have to copy this and paste it here. Just save this file, and same you have to create for backend. But before that, you have to run some commands. Like the current file is in the sites available, but you have to make a link on the sites enable folder so that this site will be enabled. So you have to change the file name. So we are creating a link of this file to this folder so that it will be in enable folder. So the site is enabled now. You can test using Nginx. The configuration test is successful. Yeah, that's it for the front end. So next, give me the Nginx configuration for Node.js application running on port 5000. So you have to copy the same URL, type nano, and you have to type the file name, the backend, and you have to copy the template. Then you have to replace only your backend is running on port 5000. That is fine, but in the server name you have to type API domain. So seems everything is fine. You have to create the link. Here you have to replace the file name. The link is created. Now you have to test the Nginx configuration is successful. Now reload the server. Server is reloaded. Let's visit our front end. Chat-Quick. So here you can see your website is visible, and this seems perfectly working fine on the particular day. But you can see there is a not secure button popping up because we haven't enabled the HTTPS on our site. So to enable the HTTPS, go to this document I have written. You have to install a tool called certbot. This will help you to install HTTPS certificate, which is freely available. So just go to the EC2 instance, install this. So basically, let's Encrypt provide a free SSL certificate. This enables HTTPS encryption for our application. So this is installed. Now run the certbot command. It will ask you to provide the email. So you can provide any temporary domain, or you can provide your domain. Basically, when a certificate is about to expire, this will make email you about the expiration and latest updates and all the things, basically giving you the updates. So you have to accept the license and terms and service, and we don't want any news and campaigns, so keep it in no. So we have to enable HTTPS. This is asking for which domain you have to enable HTTPS. So we need both domain, so we have to type space 1 and 2. If you need for only one domain, you can type any of the number 1 or 2. So I am typing both. Click enter. So this is requesting a certificate for this and this domain. So seems everything is successfully deployed here. Now refresh your application on the browser. Now you can see the connection is secure, and if you go to the certificate, you can see the let's encrypt certificate for this particular domain. So when you type hi on this chat, you can get the response, because we have a front end running and we have a back end running. And if I inspect the front end and go to the network tab and I type hi again, so our front end is sending a post request to the backend domain. Here you can see we have a api-quickbite.ahmadraza.in api/chat, which we have provided in the .env file in the front end application. So front end knows the backend URL, and it is sending a post request to the backend, and this is 200 okay, and we are sending a payload of hi, and we are getting response, how can I help you today, which is here as well. So you get the idea how backend and front end connected. So make sure you allow HTTP and HTTPS in the security group so that your website can work. So port 80 and 443 should be allowed to publicly accessible. You can make 22 port private. So yeah, now we are our application is up and running. So if you type anything, this will work. So here you can see we are getting response using a Gemini API. Everything seems good enough for now. We'll upgrade this application later on to include more features, better UI, and everything else will be in later part. So but as of now we are only focusing how to deploy, how to start deploying application from start. Like we have a basic application and we'll move and improve as the series comes. So yeah, that's it. Everything is good. If you have any question or doubt, let's comment down below. I will explain you. So if I talk about we are at that stage where the application starts becoming real and internet facing. Now your task is to build the same application, the same front end, the same structure in your style using your domain names. Just buy a domain. It will cost you around 200 rupees maximum from anywhere, Big Rock, Hosting, anywhere you can buy the domain. You can manage a DNS service there as well, or you can use Cloudflare. If you need any help regarding how to map how to buy a domain from Hostinger and map that in Cloudflare, let me know in the comment. I will make a video on that. Before closing a video, we have to delete this EC2 instance because it will cost you. Just click on the EC2 instance and click on terminate and delete. In the next video, we'll deploy this application properly on behind the load balancer with auto scaling group, and everything will be production ready, and we'll deploy frontend in CloudFront with S3, and backend will be on EC2 instance behind the load balancer, and we'll also deploy our landing page on some managed Vercel or Cloudflare pages, so we don't need to manage anything. We'll discuss this in the next video. So if you have any doubts or questions, just comment down below and I will make a video on that topic. Thank you for watching. We'll catch you up in the next video.